The Eight Immortals Travel East Chapter 42.
We are looking at a translated excerpt from Chapter 42 of the classic Chinese text, Journey to the East, or Dong Yuji. And, for you listening, it's just such a wild ride.
It's so great. What's fascinating here is that even divine beings with these, world-altering magical powers, they still have to deal with interpersonal drama.
Yeah, the egos.
Right, the egos and these incredibly strict rules of conduct. It's such a refreshing entry point into mythology. We're stepping right into this messy narrative about hierarchy and accountability.
And just sheer, unadulterated chaos. So to set the scene for you, the setup here is wild. We have this specific group of immortals, and one of them, this rogue immortal named Dongbin, he's been causing, profound disasters down in the mortal realm.
Mass destruction, basically.
Yeah. And the senior immortal, Zhang, has essentially just arrested Dongbin.
Placed him under cosmic arrest.
Exactly. And he's currently hauling him back to face a tribunal of his peers. But before they even walk through the door, we find ourselves in, the waiting room of the gods.
Which is incredibly tense.
Oh, yeah. The immortal maiden, Zhang, arrives as a scout to announce they're on their way. And immediately, this other immortal named Iron Crutch, or Tiaguai, he just lays down the law.
He does not hold back.
He demands Dongbin be formally reprimanded to maintain what he calls the senior-junior distinction and the rules of immortals.
And he is incredibly severe about it. Tiaguai states very clearly that if Dongbin isn't punished, he's going to start treating worldly affairs as just, a plaything.
Which is a terrifying thought.
Right. And then another immortal, Elder Guolao, chimes in to completely support this. So the stakes are established before the accused even arrives in the room.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because reading that opening, I couldn't help but picture, a tense corporate environment.
Oh, totally.
You've got the C-suite sweating over a rogue executive who's just crashed the company's stock. But I have to push back a little on Tiaguai's motivation here.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, is his anger genuinely about maintaining some, pristine cosmic balance? Or is he just a cranky middle manager demanding respect from a junior employee who bruised his ego? Because it reads a bit like a power trip.
I see where you're coming from. It definitely has the flavor of middle management bureaucracy on the surface. But to really understand Tiaguai's reaction, we have to look at the terrifying reality of their existence.
The magic part.
Exactly. Think about what these beings actually are. They aren't just powerful humans. They wield magic that can literally manipulate the fabric of existence. So Tiaguai's insistence on this senior-junior dynamic, it isn't about demanding a subservient bow just for his ego. It is entirely about containment.
Containment of the magic itself, keeping the lid on it.
Precisely. Imagine giving someone the launch codes to a global nuclear arsenal.
Oh, wow.
But they possess zero respect for the chain of command or the gravity of the weapon. That is Dongbin in this moment. If a being with limitless power decides the mortal realm is just a sandbox for his amusement, billions of mortal lives are disrupted.
Kingdoms fall.
Right. Entire kingdoms fall. So the hierarchy, these rules of immortals, they act as the only structural safety net protecting the universe from their arbitrary whims.
So the hierarchy is the guardrail keeping reality intact. That frames the waiting room tension in a completely different light.
It's not just a disciplinary hearing.
No, they aren't waiting to yell at a bad employee. They're waiting to defuse a live bomb.
A magical live bomb.
And then the doors swing open. Zhongli and Dongbin arrive, and we transition into the actual confrontation. And Tiaguai does not give Dongbin a single second to breathe.
No, he goes completely scorched earth.
He really does.
He unleashes this absolute torrent of accusations. Tiaguai accuses Dongbin of being fond of wine and women, of holding petty mortal grudges, of causing massive disasters, and this is the critical charge, trying to reverse fate itself.
Which is heavy.
He calls him an ignorant kid who has defied heaven, and he notes that if his friends hadn't pleaded for him previously, he would have been banished to the mortal realm forever.
Wait, pause for a second. Because we need to dissect that specific charge, trying to reverse fate.
It's a big one.
Yeah. How does an immortal actually do that? What is the mechanism there? Are we talking about, time travel, or is it something else entirely?
It's something else. It is deeply tied to the concept of chi and cosmic flow. In this cosmological framework, fate isn't necessarily a book where every action is pre-written. It's more like a massive, complex current of energy, the chi moving the universe toward a designated harmony.
Like a river.
Exactly, a cosmic river. So to reverse fate means actively using your immense magical power to force that current to flow backward.
Oh, man.
It is manipulating the energetic destiny of kingdoms or individuals because of a personal grudge. To actively hack the universe's source code to settle a score is basically the ultimate crime.
So he is throwing the ultimate existential threat at him. He lays all these damning, universe-breaking charges on the table, and Dongbin has to defend himself. So what is his grand argument for messing with the energetic destiny of the world?
It is, without a doubt, one of the most spectacularly underwhelming defenses in mythological history.
It's hilarious. I mean, Dongbin claims he didn't actually defy his master.
Yeah.
He says he went down to the mortal realm to capture this evil nature spirit, the Chun
He
spirit.
did. He was just doing his job, supposedly. But when he got there, he saw this chaotic battle array happening. And he says he got an itch to show off his skills.
An itch.
Yes. So he tested his magic out on the mortal army, and he just didn't expect the severe consequences.
The audacity of the excuse is staggering. He essentially claims a universe-threatening disaster was just an accident born of sheer boredom and vanity.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the sheer absurdity of this excuse is fascinating to me. He's accused of cosmic sabotage, and his defense is, I was doing my job, but I got an itch to flex my magic and things got out of hand.
Oops.
Yeah, oops. So Dongbin is entering a highly volatile, magically charged war zone.
A powder keg.
Exactly. And instead of surgically removing the evil spirit as instructed, he decides to use the spirit and the battle array as his personal playground to demonstrate his dominance.
He treated a war zone like, I don't know, an interactive museum exhibit.
That's a great way to put it.
How does a strict compliance officer like Tiguai even process a blatant deflection like that?
Well, psychologically speaking, Dongbin is deploying a classic avoidance tactic here. By blaming his actions on a momentary lapse of judgment, this itch to show off, he attempts to strip himself of malicious agency.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he wants them to think he is foolish rather than dangerous.
He's playing the bumbling intern to avoid being labeled a cosmic supervillain.
Exactly the strategy. But the problem is, it confirms everything Tiguai feared in the waiting room. Tiguai warned that Dongbin treats the world as a plaything, and Dongbin literally just confessed, I was playing around with my magic. He validates the prosecution's entire argument in his opening statement.
He digs his own grave with a backhoe. You can almost feel the temperature in the room skyrocket.
Yeah.
Because this weak excuse backfires spectacularly, leading us to the boiling point.
It gets so heated.
Tiguai just explodes. He sees right through the deflection and states that Dongbin didn't just accidentally unleash magic, he actively controlled that evil Chun spirit.
Yeah, Tiguai identifies the core truth here. Dongbin genuinely wanted to reverse fate. The excuse was just a lie to cover up a deliberate, calculated abuse of power.
Tiguai accuses Dongbin of having a sharp tongue and a wicked heart. He declares Dongbin is totally unfit for the Tao. He says keeping him around will just cause endless trouble. And then Tiguai does something incredibly dramatic. He sweeps his sleeves and storms off, like to the point where the other immortals have to physically restrain him while he curses endlessly.
And, sweeping the sleeves in classical Chinese literature is a highly specific gesture.
Oh, really?
Yes. It is the ultimate physical manifestation of disgust. It's a formal breaking off of contact. It signals that the conversation is dead.
But I need to challenge this whole scene for a minute.
Okay, go for it.
Tiguai is screaming, cursing, and has to be physically held back by his coworkers. Doesn't throwing a massive temper tantrum make Tiguai look just as emotionally volatile as the junior guy?
That's a fair point.
Like, how is throwing a fit aligned with the Tao? What does it even mean to be unfit for the Tao in this context?
That is a brilliant observation. So, to be unfit for the Tao means your fundamental nature is out of alignment with the natural, harmonious order of the universe.
Right.
You are a chaotic friction point. Now, Tiguai's anger, while aggressive, is viewed fundamentally differently than Dongbin's actions.
How so?
Tiguai's fury is righteous indignation aimed at protecting the cosmic order, whereas Dongbin's actions were driven by selfish vanity.
Right, the motivation is different.
Exactly. However, your point stands. Tiguai's emotional explosion threatens to fracture the group. Righteous or not, if Tiguai leaves, the tribunal collapses.
A system falls apart.
Yeah. So the situation desperately requires an immediate shift from a screaming match to practical conflict resolution.
Enter Guolao,
Zhang Guolao.
the mediator.
Yeah.
While Tiguai is being held back, Guolao steps up to Dongbin. And he doesn't yell. He gives incredibly blunt, practical advice.
He's the voice of reason.
He tells Dongbin, your frivolous actions and your constant need to make excuses are exactly what enraged the old immortal. Step forward and apologize.
It's so straightforward.
So what does this all mean? To me, Elder Guolao is acting like a modern crisis management PR fixer.
Oh, totally.
He's looking at this rogue executive and saying, stop defending yourself. Your spin is making the scandal infinitely worse. Eat crow, admit you messed up, and say sorry.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Elder Guolao is doing the most vital work in the chapter here. He builds a psychological bridge between Tikwai's rigid principles and Dongbin's fragile ego.
He's a diplomat.
He is. Elder Guolao realizes that debating the facts of the battle array is useless now. The primary offense is no longer just the magical disaster. The primary offense is the disrespect of the excuse.
Ah, the cover-up is worse than the crime.
Always. Tikwai might be able to process a catastrophic mistake, but he cannot tolerate the defensive posture. Dongbin's excuse signals a refusal to submit to the hierarchy.
Which threatens the containment we talked about.
Right. Elder Guolao knows that a genuine, unfiltered demonstration of submission, a raw apology, is the only mechanism that can act as a circuit breaker for Tikwai's level of cosmic anger.
And it works almost too well. Which brings us to the banquet. And I have to say, this resolution gave me severe emotional whiplash.
It happens so fast.
Elder Guolao physically leads Dongbin over to Tiegui and Zhongli. Dongbin kneels down. He apologizes. The other immortals plead for him. And then another mortal, Zhang, just sets up a banquet and starts pouring wine.
Party time.
Yeah. The text says Tigui's anger completely vanishes. They reconcile instantly as if nothing ever happened.
I just don't buy this.
You don't. They go from threatening eternal banishment and physical restraint to getting completely trashed together in like 3 minutes. Doesn't this rapid shift totally undermine all of Tigui's strict rules?
It feels incredibly jarring to a modern reader, I agree. We expect prolonged grudges or, probationary periods, but it actually perfectly validates Tigui's rules.
Wait, how?
We have to remember what the core conflict was about. It wasn't about holding on to human bitterness. It was about the restoration of cosmic order.
Oh, those guardrails we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Once Dongbin kneels and apologizes, he is publicly acknowledging the senior-junior distinction. He is submitting his will back to the rules of the Immortals.
So the threat is neutralized.
The chaotic friction is removed, and the cosmic order is instantly restored. For an immortal to continue holding a grudge after the energetic alignment is fixed well, that would be a petty mortal flaw.
That makes sense.
Their ability to move on instantaneously and celebrate together is precisely what makes them an eternal, effective team. Justice here is about alignment, not lingering punishment.
That completely reframes the whole concept of divine justice. Once you are aligned with the group's purpose, you're back in the club seamlessly. And they really need to be a unified club because they quickly realize they have an empty seat at the table.
The missing member.
Right. They are mid-banquet, drinking heavily, and Tigui looks around and notes that there are 7 immortals of the upper 8 caves present, and they need exactly 1 more person to complete the group.
And that mention of the upper 8 caves, that's a crucial piece of world building.
I was hoping you could clarify that because the text just drops upper 8 caves without much warning. Why does that specific geography or that specific number matter so much that they pause a party to launch a recruitment drive?
Well, in Taoist cosmology, the upper 8 caves represent a specific elite celestial tier of immortals. They aren't just literal caves on a mountain. They signify domains of profound spiritual power.
Okay.
And the number 8 is foundational in this tradition. Think of the Bagua, the 8 trigrams used in Taoist philosophy to represent the fundamental principles of reality.
Oh.
So an 8-member group represents a closed-loop system of perfect energetic balance. A group of 7 is fundamentally unbalanced, like a table missing a leg.
It's unstable.
Very. They are cosmically compelled to find the 8th member to stabilize their collective power.
That makes perfect sense. It's not just a social club. It's an energetic circuit that needs to be completed. So the group recommends a mortal Empress Cow's younger brother. They claim he possesses immortal bones.
A great phrase.
What exactly are immortal bones? Is that literal anatomy or a metaphor?
It is a profound concept that bridges the physical and the spiritual. Having immortal bones suggests that an individual has an innate structural potential for divinity.
Like good genes.
Kind of. It implies their physical and spiritual constitution is uncommonly pure. They're capable of absorbing and managing the immense qi required to ascend. However, potential is not realization. Having the bones doesn't make you a god automatically. It just means you have the capacity to survive the cultivation process.
It sounds exactly like drafting a rookie athlete. You scout a kid who have incredible raw physical talent, the height, the speed, the bones, but they lack the mental discipline, the playbook knowledge, and the experience to survive in the major leagues.
Exactly.
They need to be tested and trained.
That is a fantastic parallel. The raw material is there, but the refinement is everything.
So Zhang Li, the senior immortal who arrested Dongbin at the start of the chapter, agrees to this draft pick. He says he will personally go test Empress Cao's brother another day to see if he actually has the Dao and is worthy of ascension.
A trial by fire.
Yeah. The group agrees, and then the chapter ends with Guolao, the guy who was just screaming curses and threatening banishment, leaving his seat to enthusiastically toast Dongbin. They drink heavily, get completely drunk, and the gathering ends on a high note.